You might think you're on the right path, waking up early, reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts. But what if I told you that despite all your effort, you're still unknowingly sabotaging your own growth? Self-improvement isn't about checking boxes, it's about evolving your mindset. And too many people fall into traps that feel productive but actually stall progress. If you've ever felt like you're working hard but not getting anywhere, this video is going to explain exactly why. I've seen these same 10 mistakes happen again and again, even with the most motivated people. I've made them myself. The good news, they're all avoidable once you recognize them. So if you're serious about becoming your best self, this breakdown might just be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. We're in an age where personal growth content is everywhere. YouTube, podcasts, reels, books, so it feels like learning equals progress. You get stuck in a dopamine loop. You feel productive for watching a video, but your real life doesn't change. You know more, but you're doing nothing different. Ritesh is 22, a college student in Delhi. He's consumed over 300 hours of self-improvement content in 6 months. He quotes James Clear on habits. He knows Jordan Peterson's rules for life. He's memorized Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. He journals every day. He's got a Notion board full of goals. But when his midterms hit, Ritesh failed 3 out of 6 subjects, and he couldn't understand why. He told himself, "But I've been working on myself." The truth? He wasn't executing, he was overdosing on content and underfeeding on action. His daily routine was 1 hour podcast, 2 hours YouTube, 1 hour organizing his goals, 0 hours actually studying or applying what he learned. Knowledge isn't power, execution is. To break the cycle of over-consuming and under-executing, follow this rule. For every 30 minutes of learning, spend 1 hour applying it in real life. Turn insights into actions. If you watch a video on focus, block time and practice it. Reflect after each piece of content by asking what you learned and how you'll use it today. Then track your progress physically, on a wall calendar or sticky note, but only mark the days you did, not just learned. This builds momentum, rewires your brain for execution, and shifts you from passive learner to active achiever. Instagram, YouTube, everyone's glorifying perfect 5 a.m. routines. Meditate, journal, ice bath, green juice. It becomes a checklist. You obsess over the form, not the function. You think success is tied to never missing a beat, and the second you do, guilt hits hard. Nancy, a 20-year-old design student, inspired by creators, she built a power morning routine. Wake up at 5 a.m., journaling for 15 minutes, workout, cold shower, read 10 pages of a book, meditate, prep her smoothie bowl. It worked. For 3 days. Then one morning she overslept by 45 minutes, missed journaling, no workout. She felt like she failed. And that shame spiral, it lasted 3 weeks. She didn't miss one day. She disappeared for 21. Why? Because her success was tied to structure, not progress. She wasn't building momentum, she was building pressure. Your morning routine should support you, not stress you out. Start by choosing just 1 or 2 core habits that truly energize your day. Like a short walk or writing down your top 3 priorities. These become your non-negotiables. Then, add optional habits that are great if done but not mandatory, like reading, cold showers, or journaling. This removes pressure while still creating structure. And if you miss a day, don't spiral. Redefine failure. Missing one habit doesn't mean you failed, it means you're human. Focus on returning the next day. Real progress comes from commitment, not perfection. We think high performers are constantly fired up. We chase inspiration, and when it fades we stop. We're conditioned to believe that high achievers are always on. Instagram shows the grind, YouTube flaunts morning routines, TED Talks overflow with inspiration. So, we assume if I'm not motivated I must be doing something wrong. Motivation is unreliable. It's a mood, not a strategy. And moods lie. Some days you'll feel like a superhero. Other days, you'll feel like crawling back into bed. If your success relies on feeling good, you'll fail more often than you succeed. Priya is a 25-year-old working a 9-to-5 and trying to build a freelance business on the side. She watches Gary Vee, takes notes on deep work and tells herself, "I'll start when I'm in the right headspace." But the right headspace rarely comes. Monday, tired, Tuesday, anxious, Wednesday, unmotivated. So the business stays a dream, because she's waiting to feel ready. Here's the truth. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll never act consistently. To break free from the motivation trap, stop relying on feelings to fuel your actions. Instead, anchor your habits to your identity. Act not because you feel like it, but because it aligns with who you want to become. Whether it's writing, working out, or building a side hustle, commit to the action as part of your identity, not your mood. Build simple, repeatable routines that eliminate choice and emotion from the process. Turn your growth into a non-negotiable ritual. Discipline, not inspiration, is what builds long-term transformation. We love shortcuts, brain hacks, dopamine resets, life hacks, but growth doesn't come from tricks. It comes from consistency. These hacks feel exciting, but excitement doesn't equal effectiveness. What actually changes your life is boring, repetition, routines, and systems. When you chase the shiny instead of the steady, you build a foundation of glass. Ishan, a 25-year-old startup founder who religiously watches productivity content. He has Notion dashboards for every area of life. Color-coded calendars, habit trackers, a digital second brain. But there's one problem: he's not shipping. Ishan spends more time organizing his goals than pursuing them. He watches 4 videos about deep work, but hasn't done an hour of deep work in days. He knows the hacks: Pomodoro, cold plunges, standing desks. But without real habits, it's just theater. On the outside, he looks productive. On the inside, he's stuck in motion, not action. Instead of chasing the latest productivity hack, focus on building simple, repeatable habits that compound over time. Track your consistency, not perfection. By counting how often you show up, not how well you perform. Create rituals that anchor your identity to your actions, and let those small, consistent reps define your progress. Most importantly, learn to embrace boredom. Real growth happens when you keep showing up, even when it's not exciting. Discipline beats hacks, every time. Society rewards hustle, so we fill every moment, and think we're improving. You might be checking 15 boxes, but none of them lead to your actual goal. You're hiding behind activity to avoid doing the uncomfortable things that actually move the needle. John wants to launch a coaching business. He spends weeks researching platforms. He builds 3 logo drafts, creates a detailed Notion dashboard, watches 12 hours of content on marketing funnels. He even buys a new ring light for Zoom calls. But guess what? He hasn't spoken to a single potential client. He hasn't recorded a single video. He hasn't offered a single service. He's working hard. But he's not making progress. He's caught in productive procrastination, motion without momentum. To stop confusing busyness with real progress, get clear on your highest impact task each day. The one action that actually moves your goals forward. Instead of juggling dozens of low-value tasks, block 90 minutes to go deep on that one thing without distractions. Track what you produce, not how much time you spend working. Weekly, audit your outcomes by asking, what did I actually create or move forward? Progress isn't about how full your schedule is, it's about how focused your actions are. We're told just try harder, just resist more, but willpower is a muscle. It tires. Trying to be productive in a messy, noisy, temptation-filled environment is like trying to meditate in a rock concert. You think it's your fault you can't concentrate. You blame yourself when you reach for your phone for the 9th time. You feel weak for skipping your goals. But the problem isn't your discipline. The problem is your design. Sana, a 23-year-old MBA student, was determined to stay off Instagram during exam season. She even posted, taking a break to focus, DM later. But her phone stayed next to her. Her notifications stayed on. And every time she picked it up just to check the time, she was scrolling 10 minutes later. She failed one of her finals. And instead of realizing the trap, she told herself, I'm lazy. I just don't have enough willpower. But that's a lie. Sana wasn't lazy. She was surrounded. Her space wasn't built for success. It was built for stimulation. Instead of relying on willpower alone, design an environment that makes focus automatic and distractions hard to access. Move your phone out of reach, use tools like cold turkey or focus mode, and build a designated workspace that signals deep work to your brain. Create consistent rituals, like a study playlist or a specific time block, to condition your mind into a flow state. High performers don't have more discipline. They simply build systems that make discipline easier. Goals sound sexy. I'll get ripped. I'll make 6 figures. I'll read 50 books. But goals without systems are just wishes. When you focus only on goals, you're emotionally attached to results you can't always control. The scale moving, the subscribers increasing, the revenue growing. So when the result doesn't show up fast enough, you feel like a failure. You get discouraged, and you quit. Not because you weren't capable, but because your foundation was made of hope, not a habit. Aisha, a 29-year-old professional, was determined to get in shape. She wrote down the goal, lose 10 pounds in 2 months. She downloaded a fitness app, joined a gym, and bought healthy groceries. But within 2 weeks she missed a few workouts, forgot to prep her meals, and saw no changes on the scale. What did she do? She gave up. She thought, maybe this just isn't for me. But here's what really happened. She had a goal. She just didn't have a system. Instead of obsessing over big, shiny goals, focus on building small, consistent systems that drive real progress. Turn outcomes into daily actions you can control, like training 4 times a week, prepping meals twice, or sleeping 7 hours nightly. Anchor your habits to identity, not willpower, by saying I'm a runner or I'm a disciplined learner, rather than chasing short-term results. Track your reps, not your outcomes, because success isn't about setting goals, it's about showing up for the systems that make them inevitable. You've heard never miss a day, and that's solid advice, but taken too far, it leads to perfectionism. When you tie your progress to an unbroken chain, one slip feels like failure. And here's the danger. Once the streak breaks, so does your motivation. Instead of bouncing back, you spiral. Rohit, 26, was on a roll. He journaled every day for 45 days. He hit the gym consistently for a month. He felt unstoppable. Then, one bad day, late meeting, family stress, he missed his gym and journaling routine, just one day. But to Rohit, it wasn't just one day, it was the end of the streak, and that meant starting from zero. He didn't just miss another day, he missed 3 weeks. Not because he was lazy, but because he believed the lie that consistency only counts if it's perfect. Instead of obsessing over never missing a day, shift your focus to building an identity-driven habit that can survive setbacks. Consistency isn't about perfection, it's about returning even after you fall off. Anchor your actions to who you want to become, not a flawless streak. When you miss a day, don't restart. Recommit. Success is built on bounce backs, not unbroken chains. Let progress be flexible, not fragile. Hustle culture made us believe, if you rest, you're weak. But your brain needs recovery the way your muscles do. The signs show up quietly at first. You start rereading the same paragraph 5 times. You're snapping at people for no reason. You feel foggy, numb, disconnected. Then one day, you break down. Not because you're not strong, but because you never stopped to breathe. You didn't recharge, you didn't reflect, you didn't recover, and now, you're a machine with no soul. Arnav, 24, was preparing for civil service exams. He had one goal: study 12 hours a day, every day, until he cracked it. No breaks, no social life, no downtime, and he did it, for 3 months straight. But as time went on, his scores plateaued. He couldn't retain what he read. He felt mentally exhausted, emotionally numb, and started doubting himself. The irony? The harder he worked, the worse his results got. Not because he wasn't capable, but because he was chronically overloaded. Arnav didn't need another productivity hack. He needed permission to rest. Stop treating rest like a weakness and start using it as a strategic tool for performance. Schedule recovery just like your work, with short daily breaks, weekly downtime, and monthly resets to restore mental clarity and emotional balance. Rest isn't what you do after you've burned out, it's what prevents burnout in the first place. High performers don't avoid rest, they prioritize it because they know it fuels long-term focus, creativity, and resilience. We glorify lone wolf success. But the truth, no one achieves greatness alone. When you try to do everything yourself, you carry 100% of the weight, you spiral when things go wrong, you suffer in silence with no one to challenge your blind spots. You become a self-coached, isolated version of yourself, and while that might look noble, it leads to burnout, confusion, and stalled growth. Ria, 28, was building a wellness brand on the side of her full-time job. She didn't want to tell anyone. She feared judgment, criticism, competition, so she worked in silence. For 6 months, she wrote content, built her site, crafted programs, alone. But guess what happened? She lost motivation. She second-guessed every decision. And when things didn't grow fast, she felt like giving up. Why? Because she had no one to normalize the struggle, no one to offer feedback, no one to push her through the dip. She didn't need more information, she needed a tribe. Instead of isolating yourself, start building in community, share your goals early, even if they're messy, and surround yourself with people who challenge and support you. Join accountability groups, masterminds, or growth-minded circles that keep you on track when motivation fades. Don't be afraid to invest in mentors or coaches who've walked the path before you. Success isn't about doing it all alone, it's about who you grow with along the way. Here's the truth. Self-improvement isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. Align your actions with your identity, your habits with your future, your time with what really matters. These 10 mistakes, they don't define you. But how you respond to them, might. If you liked this breakdown, you'll love this next video, where I break down the most common habits of the ultra-successful. Watch now. Subscribe. Don't just grow. Evolve.